Hello, hello. Welcome to Growth Strategy. I am Alyssa Evans. Today we have a super special guest, Dr. Robin Buckley. Robin is the author of Marriage Inc., and she helps couples run their marriages like businesses with SOPs, with meetings, and actual plans so you guys can be so successful. And I know what you're thinking. That sounds robotic and that is so unromantic, but here is what Robin taught me that structure is not the enemy of love because structure it is what makes love sustainable. You need rules, you need boundaries, you need um recognition. It is all of those things and it makes it so sustainable and so supportive. We're going to be talking about five big things today. We're going to be talking about how structure creates space for intimacy, daily meetings for connection, weekly logistics, check-ins, monthly strategy sessions, and quarterly reviews, stuff like that. So, and then two is we talk about how safe words lower your cortisol. And so it's very relatable to both life and work. Yet we also break down how to create SOPs for recurring arguments. So if fights happen, you have a standard process. For a litter box, you have a standard process so that everyone follows the process and they know if they're doing it well. Without logistics and without communication systems, even relationships fail. And that's exactly what Robin has done. And that's what we're diving into today. So grab your coffee, your tea, whatever you are drinking. I am having some English breakfast. All right, here is Robin. Get more strategy at growyourstrategy.co. Hello, Dr. Robin Buckley. We have Dr. Robin Buckley here.
Thank you for having me. So my background, like yours, is in clinical psychology. That's what my PhD is in, but simultaneously, I also got trained as a coach. And the more I got into coaching, it aligned with who I am personally and professionally, that idea of proactive, preventative strategies in life. And the more I worked with some amazing individuals in different realms of professional life, I began to see a pattern where they would do some terrific relationship building strategies at work and then not generalize it to their home life. And that's where everything changed for me. And I started focusing on doing couples coaching, helping people really take the skills and the strengths they have from work and applying it at home so they get the same kind of success.
How did you approach that shift? How did you adapt it? How did you create frameworks? Like what were things that you felt were
The framework came out of my clients. I would talk to them about work. That's what they were primarily seeing me for, is how to develop their careers and really step into their leadership. And eventually they mentioned their relationships and some kind of sticking point or obstacle they had at home. And when, they'd bring up, yeah, I just had this fight with my husband and it's just sticking in my head. And I was like, okay, well, you were just talking about this conflict that was at work. How did you resolve it? And they say, oh, no, 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 Robin, that's different. It's not the same. And I'm like, but it is the same. You can use the same things you did at work. So the more I talked to them about it, and they would be so comfortable talking about conflict and miscommunication and all these things at work that are vulnerable when we're talking about it from home life. And so I started framing this idea of relationships from a business perspective because that's where people become objective and logical and strategic. And if you talk about your relationship from a business perspective, all of that comes out. So it isn't reactive, it isn't emotional, and you can move forward with your relationship in a lot faster way.
Yeah, I think it's definitely more vulnerable to correct because it's just I don't know, it feels like there's just so many emotions connected to it too. So how do you I guess help people take a step back and look at it as a bigger perspective?
Yeah, the first step actually brings me back to my foundation with my PhD in clinical psych is I teach them about their brain. So when you're talking about that vulnerability or reactivity in relationships, it's because it's coming from our amygdala. And if people aren't familiar with the amygdala, it is the emotion center of our brain. It is the protective center of our brain. So when we are in a situation, our amygdala reacts with either fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And when we are at home and our partner says something in a snappy way, and we want to either fight them or withdraw or just don't even know what to say, that's all the amygdala. And it
Mhm.
shuts down the logical part of our brain. So when the amygdala is firing, we can't think strategically. We can't think objectively. We just can't. And thankfully, the opposite is true. When we get the logical part of our brain going, it shuts down the amygdala. Individual couples understand that. They know it's not their personality, it's actual brain structures that they can effectively manipulate so that it strengthens their relationship. It enhances their communication. It builds their connection instead of destroying it. So it's helping couples learn really specific ways to do that. So it's not chance, it's not fate. They're not hoping their relationship works out. They actually know how to do it because they can create a plan and a strategy.
And that's hard in the moment when you're feeling all of those emotions and
Yes.
you're very overwhelmed. Do you have like a trick for people like in that moment that gets very overwhelming and you don't want to you don't want to hurt you don't want to
Right.
hurt that person's feelings. You want to be constructive, but you're overwhelmed in that moment.
Yeah, and it's a great question to ask. So I teach couples how to use a safe word. Now, many people hear safe word and they think in terms of the bedroom, and that's a great place for a safe word too, but this is different. Similar purpose, but a safe word within communication is a word or phrase the couple has chosen that essentially pauses the conversation and ideally put in their SOP, their standard operating procedure, of what happens during that pause. So they say the safe word, and then they know we are each going to walk away for 30 minutes. And after that 30 minutes, we're going to reconvene back on the living room couch. So it's very clear. It's not ambiguous. And we're also not shoving something under the rug. It's going to be readdressed once the emotions come down. The key to creating a safe word comes back to the shared history of the couple. So I suggest to couples that they pick something, either a happy memory, a funny memory, because when someone says the word out loud, what it does is it actually reduces the cortisol, the stress hormone in their brain, and it enhances the oxytocin, which is the connection hormone. When we say the safe word, the cortisol in our brains lowers. The oxytocin, which is our connecting hormone, increases. So even when we're still pissed off, even when we're still glaring at each other, there is some level where our brain is saying, but remember, that's your partner, that you're connected to that partner. So, as an example, in my marriage, our safe word is seagull. And it's seagull because when my husband was proposing to me, and I don't like birds and I really don't like seagulls, but we were sitting on the beach and this ginormous seagull walked his way right over and was like literally standing right behind us. And I could not focus. So he had to ditch all his proposal plans. We had to move to a new site. And then he finally asked the question. But when we say the word, our brains are connecting because it's a shared history and it allows us to have that pause, take our SOP, and then come back and calmly have the conversation.
I love that you use like SOPs for your marriage. So, what other areas do you have SOPs?
Every
Is
area.
it
So
every area? Okay,
my whole
good.
framework is about using business principles in a relationship. And the critique I get a lot is, "Well, Robin, that's too robotic," or "It's too cold. Like, what about love and emotion and sexual attraction?" And those are all lovely, Alyssa, but if we don't have a foundation of how we handle logistics and communication and all the things that make the relationship function, all those good things are going to fall. They're going to fade. So it's creating structure so that everything else is enhanced. So I talk to couples about one of the easiest things to start with is assigning chores. So in your relationship, having a conversation where you sit down with your partner and you're like, okay, here's all the things that need to be accomplished. What are some areas that you either have a strength in or you prefer? So you start with that. So it's not me dictating to you what you're going to do. It's a negotiation, just like in business. And then, of
Mhm.
course, there's always tasks that couples, either one wants to do. Cleaning the kitty litter box was one couple recently. So they traded off weeks. All right, I'll do it
Mm.
the first and third week. You do it the second and fourth week. Or couples learn to outsource. Neither one likes cleaning the house. So they get a cleaning person.
Yeah.
It's communication to know that all the logistics are getting handled, which also enhances trust. Because when those things are taken care of by your partner or vice versa, it's like, okay, that's not something I have to worry about. It's not something that takes up my cognitive space where I really want that space to be about love and emotion and connection with my partner, not who's going to clean the toilet. So that's an easy place to start. But there are ways to build in business approaches throughout a relationship so that it's as successful as a business.
Our life is very, very structured now, you know? It's like, and it came from a place of love because we have 3 kids. All of our meals for the week, so we don't have to think about it. My husband really likes cooking, so he cooks. I love cleaning because I find it to be very calming. So it also takes that mental load of like, I need to do this, I need to do this. It's like, okay, I know he is going to handle that,
Right.
and I have to do this. It's so much more relaxing at the end of the day
It's and you said
than
something
that.
too, so you said that you sit down every week and you meal plan, and it cracks me up when I talk to couples because these are couples that are pretty successful. They've planned their careers, they've planned their kids' educational plan, they've planned their retirement, they've planned their meals, and then when I get, "Hey, so what's your plan for the relationship?" It's crickets. It's like, "Oh,
Yeah,
well, we're just winging it," or, "We're hoping it works, the way we want it." I'm like, "You would never do that in business. You would never plan a business around, 'We hope it works,' or we're
yeah.
gonna wing it and see." You have a business plan. And yet for our most important relationship in our lives, most couples do not have a plan, and that blows me away.
That is I feel like this a lot of people really need to hear this. Mental health is, a big challenge nowadays, and I think people get overwhelmed or they think that somebody should do something. I don't, there's a certain level of accountability that we also have to take with ourselves and to initiate those conversations. If you're with your partner and you're having these challenges, how would you approach it? Because it still feels vulnerable and maybe there's resentment or I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I do so with couples, especially in that situation, or one wants to improve the relationship and come to coaching and the other one doesn't. The assigning choice is easy because it's logistics. There's very little vulnerability involved with that. So they can ease into it. And it starts the conversations. It starts the communication. And then from there, I encourage them to start setting up meetings. So there's daily, weekly, monthly and quarterly meetings that I encourage couples to do. So daily is 5 to 10 minutes, not distracted. For people with kids, I call it the no other zone. So nobody else. And it's just 5 minutes of real connection. So, because most couples get to the point where like, how was your day? Fine. How was your day? Fine. That's not connection, but it's sitting down. And I've had couples meet locked in bathrooms together. I've had them meet laying down in the back of a pickup truck in their garage so their kids can't find them, but they actually have a 5 minute real conversation. Tell me something that just lit you up today. Tell me something that was hard that maybe I can help you with. One question each that they can actually hear and listen to each other and support each other. So that's the daily connection. That's all it's for. The weekly meetings are logistics, 20 minutes once a week on a designated day where you're like, okay, this is what the week looks like. Or to do meal planning, for example, like there's a vet appointment, this kid has to get to soccer, this kid has to get to ballet, whatever it is. But you lay it all out so you both know what your roles are for that upcoming week. Monthly is more in depth. Monthly is like a 45 to 60 minute where you are reviewing everything that impacts your relationship: communication, sex, finances, any external or internal stakeholders. So internal would be kids or anybody who lives in the house. External would be everybody else. You review all the facets and you do an analysis. Like in business, we do a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. You do that for your relationship in each area of your relationship. So you know, what are we doing well that we want to continue? What are some areas we want to work on next month? Where do we see some opportunities to practice this? And what are some upcoming threats? When the holidays come around, every single couple I have, that's a threat. The holiday stress is always a threat for them. And they know it. They identify it ahead of time so it doesn't blindside them. And they
Mm.
come up with strategies on how to manage it. And then the quarterly meetings are like a business retreat where a company goes offsite to really focus on what the next quarter is going to look like or what are their year's goals are going to be. And a couple gets to do that, whether it's a whole weekend or whether it's an 8-hour day, but they get to focus on where do we want to go. And all of those meetings are used in business. And the same reasons they're used in business, you can use them in your relationship.
Yes. I love everything you're talking about. And then what are you working? Like, what are your next steps? Where's your growth? What are you planning
Oh,
on?
great question, Alyssa,
Yeah.
especially as we start the new year.
Yeah.
So my goal really, I published my book last September, so that was a huge accomplishment. And now the next step is to develop a podcast. So
Oh, yay, good.
I have two directions that I'm considering. One is very much related to my book. The other is different from my book, but something I'm really passionate about. So that's the next step for me. Trying to actively allow there to be a balance between active and intentional passive, because I am the type of person that would do everything all at once, high intensity. The book was a great example of that. I got to the point where I was almost burnt out, and letting it sometimes just happen and just let it percolate and flow on its own, knowing I've done the works. Trying to find that harmony between both sides.
Absolutely. Do you have a are you do you want to do another book one day where you
Great question. I've been asked that. I have 4 other ideas, but right now it was a 7-year process to finally get my book done, and
my goodness.
I think that's where the podcast fits in really nicely. It's related,
Yeah,
potentially different than sitting down writing. I do a lot of writing for magazines and that sort of thing, so I love to write, but doing a book is a very different process.
it is. How long did that that's a long process. What did you have to I mean, that takes structure too to get everything done. It's like it's your life's work that you're putting into that.
Yeah, I've
So,
written I have a children's book out. I have a book for young girls and women. But as you said, this was like the framework I came up with. Everything, my clients would say, Robin, we just wish we could just like be, have you in our ear or have something to read. And as soon as they said that, I was like, okay, a book. And it was challenging. And like I said, I love to write, and it just started very easily and quickly, and then there was a period of a couple, maybe 2 or 3 years where I stopped writing. My mom got sick, my mom ended up dying, so it was and then I was recovering from grief, and there was no ability for me to get my head on straight to do that, and it was giving myself the grace to say, "Okay, you'll get back to it," and I did, and it took 2 years from there, and then it was done, and that was great, but yeah, it was and other authors I've talked to, they're like, "Oh, yeah, 7 years and I didn't even have a death in the family or something." I'm like, "Okay, so this is just a thing. That's good to know." It was worth I'm proud of the work that I put out. It's right up there with my TED Talk. Like, both of those are highlights of my life.
awesome. Well, then where can people find you?
So easiest way to my website, it's drrobinbuckley.com, all one word. And that same moniker is on every social media platform you could think of except for X. So you can find me on TikTok and Instagram and LinkedIn and everywhere else.
Rumor.
And actually, for your listeners, they can go to my website. And if they use the code marriage20, they can get 20% off.
Okay, wow. Robin, I loved talking to you so much. And I have already gotten her book and read. I'm halfway through because I'm taking notes, like I'm processing it, and my partner and I are talking about it, and it's kind of like a fun little project. Like every night we read a little bit and then we talk about it, and it's a fun way for us to interact at night. So, I really hope it's what you needed as well. Because here's the thing, like your relationship deserves the same care and attention that you give everything else in your life. And if you are a woman that is building something, whether it is a business, a family, a life that feels sustainable, and you're feeling like you're drowning in just the logistics of it and losing your connection and losing your grounding and not having enough quality time with one another, then this is your reminder that you don't have to wing it. And you can actually have a plan that you talk about beforehand with your partner or, your business partnership, whatever, however you want to look at it. And you have a process to get over it. So, I want to connect with Robin. Marriage Inc. is available on Amazon and also her website, which is drrobinbuckley.com. And I'll have all the links in my show notes. Just go to my blog at growyourstrategy.co. And while you are there, please sign up for our newsletter. Come join our lives. Come join our free community. Like, we have so many free things. We can talk about this. You can get different variations of this on podcasts. You can catch us on YouTube. You can catch behind the scenes and fun things on TikTok and daily lives. So please connect with us. I love talking to you. And subscribe if you have not yet, and share this with a woman who needs to hear it. And keep building, just keep showing up. Your dreams are worth it. Please keep growing. I'm Alyssa Evans, and thank you so much for listening. Love you. Hi, I'm so excited to announce that I'm launching a weekly live session where we connect, talk growth strategy, and answer your marketing questions. Think of it as your virtual co working hour, and we can just talk about growth, pop culture, or what you are going to eat for lunch. Subscribe at growyourstrategy.co, and I'll send you the schedule so you'll never miss a session. And you'll get reminders for when we're going live so we can connect in real time. In the meantime, add me at growyourstrategy on Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe now. Let's grow together.